The Chicago Druid and the Ugly Princess, Irish-American Fantasy Book 4. Written by Thomas Kennedy. Narrated by Tom Fria. Prologue. It was in a time before our time. The wind whipped the icy sleet across the cliff face in strong gusts. Standing on one leg, leaning on his spear, he had been motionless for an hour. The crevasse where he stood was cut into the cliff face to form a small cave. He was out near the edge of the ledge, but protected from the wetting, buffeting wind by an outcrop of the cliff face. Despite the weather, from where he stood he could see the dogs running along the valley floor, Irish staghounds, large, hairy, and savage. He recognized them and could have called them by name, only this time they weren't hunting stags. Then he saw them, following, trying to keep up, maybe 50 yards behind the dogs. They were the Garmin Raid and the Connaught. They were his friends, his fellow soldiers. Now they were hunting him down, he and the girl. Although he knew they wouldn't see him, he instinctively stepped back into the cliff face, but kept them in view. Then he smiled. The dogs had branched left into the Cruag Wood. The false trail he had set had worked. The Cruag Wood was thick and extensive, an outskirt of the great forest. They could search in there for days on end. The men stopped, and then two began to retrace their steps, while the rest of the squad followed the dogs. 2 backtrackers. He allowed himself a small shake of his head. The Garmin Raid were good soldiers, covering all bets. Princess Fionnuala stood at the edge of the fissure in the rocks that served as their cave, and admired his tall, strong figure where he stood, dressed in the clothes of a warrior, his sword, shield, and spear. His shoulders were covered with the fur of a bear he had killed with his own hands. He turned, somehow aware of her gaze. "They've taken the bait," he said above the wind and sleet. Wrapping her cloak tightly to her neck, she went and joined him. They watched in silence as the band of knights followed the dogs into the scrub toward Cruag Wood. "Their chariots won't be much use in there," he added with satisfaction. "Will I light a fire?" "No," he replied sharply. "It's not safe," he added more softly, more understanding in his tone. She looked up at him, her face framed in her dark cloak. "We have the smoked venison, and I've put out the bowl to catch the rainwater." "Fine," he said agreeably, and looked again out into the distance. She went back into the fissure to take out their meager meal. He still found it a shock every time he looked into her eyes, her large eyes, black with even blacker pupils, framed by their clear white surrounds, and her long black eyelashes. They never ceased to unnerve him. Her name belied her eyes. Fionnuala was the Celtic name for fair-headed, silken blonde from birth with dark black eyes. Her appearance had set her apart from the beginning, and now was driving them west towards the rocks of the Burren in County Clare. "It will be 2 days' forced march," he said as he came back into the cave. He placed his bearskin cloak on a wet stone floor and sat. She came with the venison and then placed it in the bowl of water in front of his seated position. Then, placing her dark, coarse cloak around his shoulders, she sat beside him, snuggling in and sharing the cloak in his warmth. "When do we start again?" she asked as she passed him the sackcloth-covered leg of venison. He took out his dagger and cut a slice, first for her and then for himself. "It will be dark soon. We should rest, and then we must be on the move at dawn." She handed him the water, and he took a sip. The bowl was of gold inset with emeralds. Again he met her black eyes. He averted his gaze, and she looked down to the floor. "Sorry, I was staring," she apologized. "No, it's me. Your eyes are... I don't know. I'm used to it. I care for you, Fionnuala." "You are a true knight and warrior, Kelter," she said, and snuggled in closer, feeling warm, safe, and cared for. "I took the oath of Fianna, and became a knight of the Red Branch at 7 years of age, and now I am well schooled in their ways, and I will defend your innocence to the death." "I don't want to be innocent. I want to know the world and my place in it," she said with a free sincerity born of the deep trust between them. "We must
Sample complete. Ready to continue?